Jon Jones, stripped in 2015, not because someone beat him, because apparently the only thing that can defeat Jon Jones is Jon Jones. At this point, his toughest opponent isn't in the octagon, it's outside it. You can game plan for DC, you can game plan for Gustafsson, you cannot game plan for poor life decisions at 2 a.m. In 2015, after a hit-and-run incident in Albuquerque, the UFC stripped him of the light heavyweight championship. He had just dominated the division for years, beating legends like Shogun, Rampage, Machida, and Cormier. This wasn't about performance, it was about conduct. He would later return, reclaim gold, and eventually move up to heavyweight, but this was the first time fans saw a reigning champion lose everything overnight. Conor McGregor, stripped of the featherweight title 2016, stripped of the lightweight title 2018. Conor made history by becoming the UFC's first simultaneous two-division champion. But defending both belts? That never happened. After winning the lightweight title from Eddie Alvarez, he didn't defend the featherweight belt. The UFC stripped him so the division could move on. Then came the chaos of 2018, the bus incident at UFC 223 Fight Week. McGregor was arrested after attacking a bus carrying fighters. Shortly after, the UFC stripped him of the lightweight belt too. 2 belts, 2 separate strips. 0 losses in the cage for either one. Khabib Nurmagomedov, nearly stripped but wasn't, 2018. After defeating Conor McGregor at UFC 229, Khabib jumped over the cage and attacked McGregor's team. Absolute mayhem. The Nevada State Athletic Commission withheld his purse and there was real talk of stripping him, but the UFC didn't pull the trigger. Instead, he was suspended and fined. The belt stayed with him and he defended it twice more before retiring undefeated. TJ Dillashaw, stripped of the bantamweight title 2019. TJ failed a drug test after his flyweight title fight against Henry Cejudo, EPO, a serious violation. Before the UFC could act, Dillashaw vacated the belt. But make no mistake, this was a stripping situation. He was suspended for 2 years. Performance-enhancing drugs ended his reign immediately. Georges St. Pierre, stripped of the middleweight title 2017. GSP came back after 4 years away, moved up to middleweight, and submitted Michael Bisping to win the belt. Then he got sick. Ulcerative colitis, he couldn't defend the title. The UFC needed activity in the division, so they stripped him. No scandal, no drama, just health and timing. One of the rare respectful title removals. Randy Couture, stripped of the heavyweight title 2008. Couture had contract disputes with the UFC and publicly criticized the organization. He wanted to leave and explore other opportunities. The UFC responded by stripping him of the heavyweight belt. This wasn't about fighting, it was about business power. Germaine de Randamie, stripped of the featherweight title 2017. She won the inaugural women's featherweight title by defeating Holly Holm. The UFC wanted her to defend it against Chris Cyborg. She refused. The UFC stripped her almost immediately. The division moved on without her. Nicco Montano, stripped of the women's flyweight title 2018. Nicco won the Ultimate Fighter to become the inaugural women's flyweight champion. She never defended it. A weight cut hospitalization forced her out of a scheduled defense against Valentina Shevchenko. The UFC stripped her shortly after. The division needed stability and they moved forward without her. Cain Velasquez, stripped of the heavyweight title 2016. Injuries destroyed Cain's championship reign. After winning and defending the belt multiple times, he became inactive due to recurring health issues. The UFC created an interim belt, then eventually made it undisputed, stripping Cain in the process. Brutal reality of heavyweight MMA. If you can't fight, the division moves on. Dominick Cruz, stripped of the bantamweight title 2014. Cruz was one of the most dominant lighterweight champions ever, but injuries kept him out for nearly 3 years. The UFC waited and waited. Eventually, they stripped him so the division could function. He later made one of the greatest comeback stories in MMA history by reclaiming the belt. Renan Barão, stripped of the interim bantamweight title 2014. Barão was interim champion while Dominick Cruz was injured. Once Cruz was officially stripped, Barão became undisputed champion. But before that transition, there was a technical stripping of the interim title when the belt status changed. No scandal, just restructuring.